Well, as of June 1st, anyone hurt in a serious car crash will receive significantly less in insurance benefits. The new rules apply to anyone in a vehicle accident, but the biggest cuts are for people hurt in catastrophic accidents, the kind of thing that can leave someone injured for life. That goes down from $2 million to a cap of $1 million. It's part of the provincial government's promise to cut auto insurance rates. Mike Smitiuch is a personal injury lawyer at Smitiuch Injury Law, and he joins us on the phone now. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
So there are a number of changes, though, but how important is this one around catastrophic injuries?
Well, this one is very significant that as of June 1st, if you have renewed your policy anytime June 1st on, and you're in an accident and you're badly injured, so we're talking about people with brain injuries, people who are in wheelchairs, if you're injured, your benefits now go from $2 million to $1 million. And this can have very significant ramifications for someone's therapy, rehab, because it's meant to be there for the rest of their life.
So how far does that $1 million even go then?
Well, for someone who needs constant care, someone who has a bad brain injury or is a quadriplegia, the money goes fast. It costs a lot now in terms of health care. Then you have to add in medical and rehabilitation benefits. I have seen, from my perspective as a lawyer, the benefit of good rehab and good medical benefits. And I'll tell you, it won't last long. $1 million, it will not last long. And for a young person, they will have a significant shortfall for the long term.
Where's the pressure coming from to make such a huge cut in catastrophic accident insurance?
Well, it's coming from the Wynne government. Their promise when they had a minority government to cut the premiums by 15%. So they've been trying to do that. They're behind on it. They've only cut the premiums by about 10%. So we have a situation where consumers in Ontario are getting a little bit of a premium reduction, but they're giving away a lot in the long term.
Okay, so I guess, though, you could also put some of that responsibility, the onus on the insurance companies themselves.
Well, for sure. They always complain about fraud in the industry, and that's one of the reasons why you're seeing these changes to the benefits. But they need to do better in terms of that. They can't let a couple of bad apples ruin it for the ones that need it the most. You were talking about the anniversary of John Lennon, and I think if he lived in Ontario these days, he'd be very disappointed with the government and insurance companies because they're not taking care of the most vulnerable members of society.
What do you do then if you want to keep what you have, if you want that $2 million cap? How much more would it cost you?
Well, you have to go to your broker or insurance company to see the cost of optional benefits. That's the good thing out of all this, that you can get back $1 million in benefits, but you have to purchase the additional coverage. The fear is most people, they don't think of the long term. They don't think of what can happen to them. I've seen people who don't plan for the future and plan for the worst. So you need to go to your broker, you need to go to your insurance company and purchase what are called optional benefits. And you should do that very soon given the pending changes.
How aware do you think people are of the changes?
I don't think they're aware at all. I think that shows such as yours today are helping to bring forth awareness. But I think most people, when they get a renewal invoice for their insurance and it's a little lower, they're happy. Most people, like I said, a little bit of short-term gain, but a lot of long-term pain. And in the end, they don't know that they're giving away over $1 million in benefits.
Yeah, they're automatically renewing it without checking. What do you think the government should do instead? If their aim was, to reduce premiums, that's on the one hand, it's almost like you have to do that, but also keep the coverage. How do you balance both?
Yeah, in Ontario, we're already paying way more than other jurisdictions. We pay in the thousands, whereas other jurisdictions pay in the hundreds. So they need to be taking a hard look at insurance companies in Ontario and what they're doing. The reality is they could have left the cap of $2 million in place. And because you don't just automatically get it, you have to prove your entitlement to the benefit. So whether it's $1 million, $2 million, or $5 million, you have to prove to the insurance company that you need it through medical evidence. So they could have just left it alone. I hope at some point they revisit this and they understand that they've made a big mistake. But again, they need to take a hard look at insurance companies. They're making big money, and they're charging big premiums.
Mike Smitiuch, thanks very much for your perspective this morning.
My pleasure.
Mike Smitiuch is a personal injury lawyer. Starting next Wednesday, June 1st, victims of catastrophic car accidents will receive half of the standard insurance payout they were previously entitled to.